back to another episode of the Pro Series podcast. This is episode 70 with Mike Ciorrocco. Mike is an entrepreneur, he's a speaker, he's an author, he's a podcaster. We talk about his Rocket Fuel book, which is a best-selling book, also his podcast, What Are You Made Of? And he talks to us about how to become a celebrity in your field. He's very inspirational. He gives us a lot of advice. Definitely go follow him. But before we hop into the episode, please make sure you like, subscribe, and review this podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. And now I hope you enjoy episode 70 with Mike Ciorrocco.
Mike, thank you so much for hopping on for the Pro Series podcast.
What's happening, Eric? Great to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to your audience for listening. I want to express gratitude today, man.
Yes, thank you. I think I was looking for someone that's inspirational, someone to help with branding and just making yourself stand out in your field. And you kind of came up on an Instagram search that I had one day, and that's how I kind of found you. And I had to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, well, thanks for finding me. Thanks for asking me to come on, and let's roll, dude. Let's light people up, man.
Yeah, so I want to start off and have everybody like a little introduction of yourself and what you do. If you could give my audience a little bit of insight into your business.
Yeah, Eric, I do a lot of things, but I center everything or filter everything through one mission, which is that all people are unstoppable to live in the life of their dreams. And so everything I do, think, say, do, my environment that I keep is all centered around that mission. And what happens a lot of times when I get off of that, if I filter something and it doesn't filter properly, I let something slide, I notice right away I'm out of flow. I'm out of like alignment. I can feel like something's not right. And then I got to hurry up and identify it and clean it up. So I do a lot of things, but that's what I do. I center and filter everything through that. But with that, I have several businesses. I have a podcast agency that we book people on shows, help people start podcasts, become celebrities in their space. I have a mortgage division that we run I've been doing this for 20 some years. Fun times right now with the way the market is and rates and all that. We're working on restructuring and doing all kinds of wild things there. But we also work with real estate professionals in this and being their resource when it comes to lending. So they don't have to like be an expert in that. They can rely on us. We create strategic partnerships with them in doing so.
That's awesome. Are you when you first started that spiel, I thought of are you big into manifesting your goals and manifesting like what you want out in life?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm big in it. I just believe in it, right? I've seen too much of it. And anytime that I'm getting results that I don't want, I go back to, okay, what was I focused on? Right? Like, what was I looking at? What was I distracted by? Because here's the thing, man, we are the cause and creator of everything. And if you're a believer in God, like I am, God uses us. God uses us to do what he does, and he gives us the power to do that. Most people don't believe in that, so they don't get it, and they don't use it. And it's not, obviously then some people say, well, you manifest this, mindset doesn't, it's about the work. Yeah, it's about the work. You do the work, but the work has to be focused on a certain direction, a certain outcome, a certain target or dream. And then, so in order to be able to do that, you need to know exactly what you want, what direction you're going to go, what your mission is, what your targets are, and then you put in the work towards that. So definitely.
That's awesome. Let's talk about your book, Rocket Fuel. What's that about, and why did you feel the need to write it?
Back in 2017, I got this urge. I was running a mortgage division with my partners, and we were doing good, making money. I've made millions in real estate and mortgages over the years. And just, by the way, that's the past as far as I'm concerned. I'm not bragging about that. Like I always stop. Like right now, the past is done. Move forward. Let's go. What's going on in the future, right? But I did well, but I wasn't fulfilled. I just felt like there was a bigger game to be played. And I was focusing on these little markets that we were in, which is great. But I just felt like, man, what it would be like to get known nationally for what you do.
Yeah.
And help people nationally or globally, or if there's aliens, let the aliens find out about who you are and what you do. Like really think bigger. So I got this itch, but I didn't know where to start. So I reached out to a mentor of mine, not a mentor, a friend of mine. And I was thinking he would be a mentor. And I said, I got this itch to speak, man. And I want to go global. And he's like, and by the way, this guy had seminars. He did a lot of seminars with like 500 people once a quarter. He would go around during the rest of the year and sell those seminars. And then he would do the seminar.
Okay.
And so he made a decent living doing that and lived a good life. And I just watched him and I'm like, well, how can I do what he does? I thought he would take me under his wing, but what he did was he just messaged me back and said, grow your following. That's what he said. And I'm like, grow your following. All right, bang, decision. I'm growing my following. I'm getting known. And that's when I decided to do that. So then I started going on podcasts because a guy invited me on a podcast. I had no idea what a podcast was. And I told him, I don't really think I can do that, man. I don't have any equipment. I don't have a studio. Like, what do you mean? He's like, no. I'll get you everything you need. Just come on the show. I'll interview you. And when he did, it made me feel special. It was like, I don't know if you guys listening can experience, like, you know what I'm talking about, but like, you know how girls say, this guy, he just made me feel special. No, when I went on the show, when he was interviewing me, I'm like, shit, I'm like the star of the show.
Yeah.
And I never experienced that before. And I was like, this is cool. I like this. And so it gave me confidence. It gave me credibility. And I just leaned into it. And when I started going on shows, I started telling people, yeah, I'm writing a book. And this is before I started writing a book.
Yeah.
And I just saw everybody else doing it. Like Grant and Sharon Lecter has books and Dr. Greg Reed has books. And, you know, there's tons of people writing books that doing what I wanted to do. And I'm like, that must be the next step.
Yeah.
Never wrote anything before. I didn't even know how it was. Like, I didn't even know what I was doing. Honestly, I just committed. And so once you tell people that and you commit to that, it's a decision. Talk about manifestation. That's when things start to follow because my mind and attention are on that. And
Absolutely.
so what I did was in the book, I wrote about my story and I wrote also a lot of the part of that journey since 2017, a mentorship that I, experienced with Grant Cardone, with Brandon Dawson, Rich Dolan, who's a performance coach and brand builder, other people that I paid attention to, and just talked about the transformation I was going through and how it was, it's exponential. It's not just about me. It extends out to everybody that I ever run into. And I wrote the book about that because in my life, I went through a lot of things that were roadblocks, hurdles. I had a rough life growing up and broken family, alcohol, drugs, anxiety, depression, medication, suicide, all that stuff I watched people go through. And for some reason, I always advanced no matter what happened. And the reason for that is I figured out a formula I was doing. And I didn't realize this exactly until just prior to writing the book. I was taking everything that would come my way, that would get in my way of what I wanted. And I would store it in my tank instead of my trunk. That's the secret there. Most people store stuff in their trunk and it weighs them down.
I like that.
You got to store it in your tank, your fuel tank, to convert it into rocket fuel. And if you do that, and to the degree you can do that, you become unstoppable. And so I'm not perfect at it, by the way. It's not a absolute. Sometimes, like right now, to be honest, transparent, this mortgage thing, I mean, we're going through a thing. I'm losing one of my best friends and I'm not losing him as a friend, but in our business, we were doing something together, 4 of us.
Yeah.
And then he's going on his own now. And it's probably better for the whole big picture, but it still hurts, and we're going through a restructuring with this and cash flow management and having to let employees go and all this stuff that hurts, man. And I hate it because I'm a person that wants to advance people. And so right now I find myself sometimes I gotta, oh, what do you got in the trunk, pal? I talk to myself. What do you got in the trunk? Get it out of the trunk, move it to the tank, Let's go. Convert. And then everybody around me feels that. If I keep it in my trunk, they feel that too. It's unacceptable for me to affect other people in the wrong way.
I love that. I had a mental health coach a while back, and we talked about beliefs weighing people down and just things that you don't even know you have. But that's exactly what you're talking about, having it in your trunk and kind of holding you back from what you want to achieve as your goal.
Bro, you ever seen a hoopty? Those hoopty cars back in the day? It's like
No.
they called them hoopties, but they were like a Cadillac DeVille or some big Chevy Caprice car. It was older, right?
Okay.
And I grew up in somewhat in the hood at times, and they would have these cars that would roll by, and they would be low riding, but they would have something in the trunk. I don't know if it was bodies or money or trash or what it was, but it had something in the trunk. And when it was doing that, it was rolling real low and it would rub on the tires. That slows the car down or eventually stops it. You got to think of your body this way, right? You got to get the shit out of there, lighten the trunk, lighten your body, get the light loaded, and then the fuel can be converted, man. And it's just, it's powerful. I got to keep reminding myself of this, even though I wrote a book about it.
Yeah, it's a great way to think about it. I want to talk about off camera. You talked about creating celebrity in your field, and I think a lot of people want that to happen. So they want, like, I'm in the interior design field. I want to become a celebrity in the interior design field, someone to look up to or someone just to follow. And you help them. You have your own agency about that. You were talking a little off camera. Tell us a little bit about that and why you created it.
Yeah, there's power in podcasting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, man, and I can go into all of them if you want me to, but I'll just do a skim of it. First of all, podcasting has changed my life. I've been on over 400 episodes of other people's shows in the last 3 years. I've done over 300 of my own show. So 700 plus podcasts. So I've witnessed what happens to people that consistently do podcasting and lay into it and take advantage of all the benefits from it. And so I had this database of people, and I had my guy Todd, that's my partner. He was booking me on shows for the last couple of years. And we got talking one day, and he's like, why don't we get together and start an agency? And I'm like, I don't know. Why don't we? Let's do it. And then we started like storming on this and saying, okay, what is the benefit of this? Let's get really clear on what the benefit of this is, what we can help people with, how this can change people's lives. And then we started putting packages together to help people. And then figuring out, once we get that dialed in, what other packages can we offer? What other products or services can we offer? Oh, we can help people start shows. We know how to do that. We could take their content from their shows, both going on guests and being a host, and get that out there and on social media and repurpose that and blog it. And you could create a book out of podcasts. There's so much you can do, and basically turn this thing into something that really blows people up. But obviously it's a business that we can do really well in. And we just went off and started promoting it. We created a landing page. We started promoting it, and I started talking about it all the time, and people started wanting to work with us. Now, the reason it's important is not just having your own show, but going on other people's shows. Is one, podcast hosts are the most connected people on the planet.
Yeah.
So if you want something in life, people have everything you need. The more connections you have, the more credibility you start to have, the more confidence you have, and the more business you can get, and the more people you can help. So that's number one. Number two, when you go on a show, I don't know if you're aware of this, or if anybody listening is aware of this, but when you go on a show and you're consistent and you Google search your name, all the shows that you've been on start to pop up, and it covers up anything in the past that you've, like, I don't have any problems myself, but like some people have things in the past that if you Google them, they don't want people to find out they've gotten themselves better and all that. They might have had a court case. They might have whatever the case is, a business or whatever. It covers up all that. But more importantly, if somebody Google searches you, then it tells you your name. It says your name, what title of the podcast you were on, what you were talking about. There's no better way to build credibility and authority than to have a bunch of interviews out on Google. And so that does that. And then also, the audience is, people put too much weight on the audience of the podcast. It really doesn't matter. I mean, let's just say this is your first show, and I would go on it anyway, because at the end of the day, the audience, if that's like a cherry on the top. I want to take the content that you and I produce together. You do your thing with it. I do my thing with it. And we push it out all over social and put it in people's faces. That's more important to me than somebody listening to the episode. If they do, great. What else? Give credibility and confidence. Like I said, when you have a podcast, you get to talk to people that you normally wouldn't get to talk to, because you can invite them on your show instead of saying, hey, I would love to have a call with you. No, I want to interview you on my show. Sounds way better. It's more powerful. And I've gotten in front of people that I would never had the opportunity to otherwise. And then once you have them on the show, you can ask them any questions you want. Let's say you're in design and you want to learn more about design and expertise in that. Well, you should go after people that have that expertise, get them on your show, and then you have a free coaching call with them. You can ask them pretty much whatever you want. And then you got it recorded. So then you can implement the stuff in your business, in your life. So over to with the 300 some episodes I have, I could go back through all my episodes on my show and pick things out to implement in my life to see what worked for people, what were the common threads. And man, there's just so much benefit to it, bro. I can't even, my Instagram's blown up, my brand's blown up, my business has done well. I've had other opportunities come my way. And see, I know all this and I know how to do all this. And so when people come in as a client with People Building Podcast Agency, we not only book them on great shows, but we're there to counsel them. Hey, what do you need help with? Where do you think that you could do better? Here's some tricks of the trade that I've learned. And I make them the best guests possible.
Yeah, I love how you said that, because I mean, being in 2022 now, everybody talks about how everybody has a podcast, and like everybody's creating a podcast. This new podcasting created all the time, and there's a lot of people that like make fun of that, and I'm like, well, at least they're going out of their way to. I do it selfishly. I think it's fun to interview you, because I probably would never have met you in real life. And then I talk to people in different countries. And I'm learning so much through other people. But it's fun hearing back from audience members, even if it's only 4 or 5 saying like, wow, this episode was awesome. I started following this person, and that's why I do it. I'm like you said, I'm reaching audiences that probably would never have found me, maybe because I'm in the design space and you're more entrepreneurial, trying to get people going in their careers. And that's why I do it. I don't let
Yep.
people like that don't care about that make fun of like why people are keep making podcasts.
Dude,
And
you worry about what other people say. You'll live your life like, based on their decisions and all that, and you'll stay really small, miserable, mediocre. By the
yeah,
way, Eric, like when you're done this, you have any content that you produce, like if you produce any clips of this, whatever, I share that on my stuff because I want to promote myself, but also I get to promote you. And
exactly.
so podcasting, man, it's ridiculous, and people don't put enough effort into it. And I'm lighting this up. We got the #1 podcast agency in the country, as far as I'm concerned, and we're gonna continue to grow that, bring great people in. And if anybody's interested, all you got to do is DM me on Instagram, and I'll take care of you on that.
Awesome. Well, I want to finish off on where people could find you, what your name of your podcast is, where they could find you on social media so they could DM you, website, your book title, anything you want to promote.
Yeah. Well, they can find me on Instagram at Mikey C-Roc, MikeyCroc. My book is Rocket Fuel: Convert Setbacks, Become Unstoppable. Not to be confused with Gino Wickman's book, Rocket Fuel, more of the entrepreneurial side of things. But also, man, like, I just want to let people know, man, like when you wake up in the morning, are you intentionally being a wow person? Like, wow is me or woe is me? Like, I want everybody to think about that today. When you hear this, this podcast here, like it's intentional and it's a decision that we get to make every single day. Do I want to go out and be woe is me? Things are so hard. I want to be good. I want to make money, but I don't know how. Like everybody's against me, blaming everything else. That's the woe is me. Or do you want to be wow is me and understand that I am in control of everything? I have to cause and create everything that I want. I'm in the cause. I'm not the effect. I'm in the power. And you have that decision. And once you make that decision, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but everything changes for you. So I want to leave everybody with that. Thrust is a must is a saying that I always say, because no matter what you're going through, thrust through it because it's better to go fast.
I love it. And I love how you kept your branding on. There's some guests I have that don't like have the branding on when they're getting interviewed. They don't have it in the background or they don't have it like wearing it. And I'm like, that's such a loss of opportunity. Like
Yeah.
you're on
Yeah.
someone else's podcast. You should do that.
Yeah. I mean, how much do you believe in it, man? Like I'm all in. I believe in this, and it's not always like good times. It's some bad times. Sometimes it's a little difficult, more difficult, but it's not really, I look at it, is it bad or is this not where I want it to be right now? And this could be a phase you got to go through. So, but I'm all in. I'm committed 100%, both butt cheeks, man. Like not when it's easy, I do it. And when it's not, or, when I don't feel like it, I don't do it. No, I do it all the time. That's commitment.
Yes, that's the way to do it. It's the only way to be successful. Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today and taking the time.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. You're welcome. Happy holidays. And anybody needs anything, all you got to do is holler at your boy.
Perfect. Thanks.